Good morning, gang. Happy Saturday morning and happy Veterans Day. Today's a day we recognize the roughly 18 million of us who mostly volunteered, a lot of them drafted, who put their lives on hold to protect our way of life here in the United States, to stand and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. The largest group of veterans in the United States at this point is Vietnam vets. Not Gulf War, not War on Terror, not peacetime, Vietnam vets. Okay. What did they fight against? They fought for something that truly means something in the United States. They fought against communism, okay? Not fighting for oil, not fighting for an ideology of LGBTQ or because we're supporting some other country. No, they fought against communism, okay? A lot of them were drafted to go, and it's not like the government drafts the people who have some sort of reason to get out. Usually it's younger, draft has always been men, but usually it is younger, unemployed, primarily lower educated people, the ones who can't fight back, okay? The Vietnam vets that we celebrate are not the Dick Blumenthal's, yeah, you served, or the John Kerrys who lied about their service. No, it's the guys who got in the trenches, sent to Vietnam with weapons but no bullets, who witnessed the horrors of war firsthand, watched buddies die next to them, made it back to a country that hated them and tried to get on with life. Okay. Y'all know that the group in the United States that has the highest suicide rate is military veterans. Okay. Mostly because of the horrors that they've seen and the peril they were put in by a government that used them as pawns. But those 18 million of us are the strength, the backbone of what will keep this country. The politicians in Washington who send us to war, whether it's in World War II, whether it's in Vietnam, whether it's in the Gulf War or whatever, aren't the ones fighting the war. They're the ones that are sending you and me, our sons and daughters, into battle because we're not important. They are. I mean, you go back and the last president that served was George H.W. Bush. You could say George W. Bush served, okay, but Air National Guard, not cutting it for me, okay? But George H.W. Bush was the last president that served. That goes back 30 years. Now, granted, we haven't had a war in 50. Well, I guess you can't even say that because Vietnam was a police action too. Okay. So we haven't had a war in 80 years, thereabouts. Okay. You look at what's coming in the United States. You know, I know, anybody with a brain knows war is coming. And the elitists in Washington are the ones that are pushing us toward war. They want it. The World Economic Forum wants it. The globalists want it. They are doing everything they can to divide the country politically, racially, economically, religiously. You take it. Every day we turn on the news, open the internet, read a paper, whatever, and see another story of disparity. Unless, of course, it's black on white crime. We never see that. We hear about anti-LGBTQ. We hear about pro-Palestinian. We hear about, again, the racial divides or whatever. This is all a plan. They want a war. The problem that they, okay, again, the ones who never fight them, they just send our kids to it. They don't have a clue what to do. They're great with their little maps and push pins and go, this is what we're going to do. But they have no idea. The people that are going to save this country are the ones that volunteered or were drafted, okay? Because they're the ones with the skills, with the knowledge, with the passion, with the training, who signed that blank check. Now, you hear about, oh, well, the military is overwhelmingly conservative. No, actually it's not. It's more conservative than liberal. But Military Times did a study. 45% of the military is conservative. 28% is liberal. And the other 27% is independent. Okay? So no, there's not some overwhelming majority of conservatives in the military going to fight for that. You may have plenty that come up and say, I like Joe Biden's policies. I think we need to do all this. I mean, we have General Milley's, okay, liberal. We have a admiral that's a cross-dresser, okay. They like liberal policies. They're there, okay. People say, oh, gee, but the majority of the military comes from the conservative states. No. Actually, if you go on a percentage basis of population, the number one state is Hawaii. That's blue as blue gets. The others in the top 5, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, okay, and Virginia. Virginia's pretty blue. Georgia, depending on if they have legal legitimate elections or not, lately looks blue. You look at the states that have the least amount of people that join the military, okay, or I guess you can't include Washington, D.C. as a state, but that shouldn't surprise you, okay. But Washington, D.C., Massachusetts, New York, Rhode Island, that's liberal strongholds, and North Dakota. Now maybe North Dakota because the population's so small, there's just not that many people. But that's a mishmash, okay? I mean, if you get into the second tier of where they come from, okay, now we're starting to get pretty conservative, okay? You have North Carolina, Alabama, Missouri, Texas, Arizona, Idaho, but also Nevada, Colorado, Maine, okay? So yeah, it's not overwhelmingly conservative or overwhelmingly liberal, communist. You can't go by race, okay? There's actually a higher population, higher percentage of blacks in the military than there are in the general public, okay? So you can't look at it that way. Even if you look at where veterans go to live after they get out, whether they do 20, 30, whether they do 2 or 4, okay? Not surprisingly, Texas has the highest number of veterans at 1.4 million. Florida being second, California being third. A lot of veterans moving to California because, what? They love Democrat policies and high cost of living? Military pension ain't going far in California, that's for sure. Okay. Rounding out the top 5 on numbers is Pennsylvania and Virginia. Okay. If you went by percentage, this may surprise you, the highest population, the state with the highest population of veterans in the United States, go talk to Rudy. It's Alaska. Okay. Second, Virginia. Third, Montana. Fourth, Wyoming. Fifth, Maine. Interesting, because it's not, gee, they all moved down south or they all moved to red states. No, it's not. When war comes, it's going to be interesting to see what and whom happens and on which side. Will those liberal veterans fight for the United States, or will they fight for Klaus Schwab? Will those black veterans fight for the United States, or will they fight because if you don't vote for Joe, you ain't black, right? Where does their loyalty lie? I will tell you this. From every veteran I've talked to over my life, people I served with, people I've met in the grocery store, met in the library, met wherever, the hardware store, the one thing we all have in common is that oath we took did not have an expiration date. Don't think that Joe's line of, if you don't have F-16s and tanks, you can't win a war. Wars are won on the ground. They can bomb the crap out of people. They don't get them all. The way wars are won is winning each one of the battles. Sure, the globalists are going to win a few battles. They've won a lot lately, okay? But they won't win the war. And for that, you can thank a vet. Pinball out.